Hi, everyone. Rashida Tedder here, founder and executive director of the LIFEE Foundation. And we are so honored that you are joining us for the 6-week Educator Wellness Series. We at the LIFEE Foundation are extremely committed to the health and well-being of educators everywhere because we know firsthand the challenges that educators face and how those challenges can have an impact on our health if not managed correctly. So over the next 6 weeks, you'll be receiving tips and strategies from mental health care professionals, from healthcare professionals, and also from educators who have experienced health challenges as a result of the job and were able to overcome those challenges through different processes. And then you'll also receive interviews with mental health care professionals and healthcare professionals and teachers and educators who will share tips and strategies and stories, stories of how they overcame, to help inspire you, to help encourage you to prioritize yourself and your health as you prepare to go into this new school year. And so I will get us started. So I was a victim of my own lack of self-care. I'm a single mom. I have a 16-year-old son who is into musical theater. And so I'm always on the go with him to rehearsals, to auditions, to coaching, to lessons. And then I'm also a full-time caregiver to both of my parents. And at the time, I was a regional vice president, and I was responsible for overseeing 17 schools across 5 states. And so in July of last year, I noticed that I was starting to have more frequent headaches. Naturally, I experience headaches from time to time, not naturally, but I experience headaches from time to time. But I noticed in July that they were more frequent. But I just pushed it to the side because I was like, oh, I need to get some more sleep because I'm getting these headaches, or, I need to wear my glasses more because my eyes are bothering me. I just pushed it to the side. And then in August and September, I started to have chest pains. But I pushed that to the side too, because I was like, oh, I ate something that didn't agree with me. Maybe it's, gas built up in my chest and all kind of excuses. And then in October, I actually had to go to the emergency room because I was having chest pains, severe chest pains and dizziness. And when I went to the emergency room, the doctors thankfully couldn't find anything wrong with me except for my pressure being extremely elevated. And so in November, I went to see my primary care doctor because my blood pressure, we could not get it under control. I was still having the headaches. I was still having the chest pains. And my primary care doctor said, you need to take some time off to focus on you. And I came up with every excuse in the book about why I could not take time off. I had a conference to prepare for, we're coming up towards the end of the first semester. We have to make sure that my students are doing what they need to do, that they're getting the support they need, and my staff is getting the support they need. Like, I cannot go out in November. And then I was sitting at my desk one day shortly after that, and I had my computer on, and I could not, for the life of me, figure out what I sat down at that computer to do. I mean, I sat there probably for a good hour, and still I could not figure out what it was that I needed to do. And it was in that moment that I knew that I needed to take a step back and to take some time away to focus on my health. And so I did that. I took some time off work so that I could focus on me, because I wasn't being productive or beneficial to anyone if I couldn't even remember why I sat down at a computer. And so I ended up having to go to several specialists. So I'm somebody who rarely had to go to the doctor, maybe twice a year just for checkups. But starting in November, from November to February, I averaged at least 2 doctor's appointments a week. And that does not include any testing that I had to have done. So I had to see my primary care doctor. I had to see an endocrinologist. I had to see a cardiologist. I had to see a neurologist. I had to see an ear, nose, and throat doctor. I had to have CAT scans. I had to have blood drawn. I had to have ultrasounds. I had to have ear exams. It was constant from November to February. And even during that time, I was still struggling with getting my pressure down. And so then the doctor suggested that I find a therapist. And I did. And that was probably one of the best decisions I could have made for myself, was to find a mental health therapist, because the sessions with her worked wonders. I mean, there were things that came up in those sessions that I didn't even realize I was holding on to. That was also a cause of my stress and my blood pressure being elevated. And then there were also signs that had been occurring that I just ignored, that showed that I was experiencing a level of depression and anxiety. Because I know from time to time, like I would get up and the first thing I would think about was, oh, I can't wait this time to go back to bed again. And I just thought, I was just tired. And she diagnosed it as depression. And I was like, but I'm not depressed. Like I don't feel bad about anything. Like I'm not depressed. And so, through my journey with her, I learned that what we think things look like what we think depression looks like is not always what it manifests itself as. And what we think anxiety is not always what it manifests itself as. And so I was able to work with her intensely from November to February. And again, it worked wonders. And I had to see her on average 2 times a week. And so in February, when it was time for me to go back to work, I had to make a decision. And I knew that it was time for me to move on to something else, because I didn't feel like I was working up to the level of performance that I'm used to working up to. And that wasn't fair to my staff, that wasn't fair to my students, and it wasn't fair to me. I knew I had to do something different so that I could be here longer for my son. And so I resigned from my job. And the day after I resigned from my job, my blood pressure was the lowest that it has ever been since I was in my 20s. And so I'm not saying that to resign from your jobs. I'm just sharing my personal journey and decisions that I had to make, to make sure that I maintain my overall health, because there are people counting on me and I'm counting on me to be here. And so, after that, my sessions now with my therapist is we do it bi-weekly sessions. I don't have to see all the specialists anymore. Nothing came out of the testing except for stress. So I'm thankful for that. And it has been a learning lesson. It has been a lesson learned that I have no desire to repeat. And it's a lesson that I want to share with others who may be suffering the same symptoms in silence. And that's the other thing. I wasn't, I didn't complain about it a lot. Every once in a while, if the headache got too much and I would need to take a couple of hours off work, I would let my staff know, but I wouldn't even take the full day off work. I mean, it was insane. It was insane, that I just pushed it to the side. And it got to the point where my body was like, look, we tried to give you some warning signs. We about to just shut this thing on down because you're not listening. And so, I'm grateful that I was able to bounce back from that. And because some people, they're not able to. And I believe that me going on that journey was for a reason, so that I could then help somebody else through my experiences, through advocacy, through activism regarding mental health care for educators, physical, overall well-being for educators. And so that is my story. You'll hear other stories and testimonies from other educators who have experienced severe health challenges related to their job and how they overcame those challenges. And our goal, again, is to just help someone from having to go through what we went through and help everyone understand the importance of taking care of yourself first. I mean, we know we're supposed to do it. We hear, all the cliches. You can't pour from an empty cup, and put your face mask on first before you help your person next to you. I mean, we know all the quotes and sayings, but we don't always practice it. And so we're trying to help you by making it very practical for you to practice self-care and for you to take care of you. Because, if you're not your best, you can't give your best. And so, again, we thank you for joining us on this journey. If you have not already done so, please remember to like and subscribe. And please continue to look out for your emails from us for the Educator Wellness Series. And if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, please feel free to email them to info@lifefoundation.org, or you can send them directly to me at rtedder@lifefoundation.org. So thank you again, everyone, and we will be seeing you at the live sessions. Bye-bye.